So, hello friends, welcome back once again. This is your friend Manan Chaturvedi and also known as Chaturvedi. And today we are going to go live. Because of the glitch, you have already seen who is that guy. But I will introduce you to the gentleman, and this is Executive Talks. As you know, every time we go live, we bring somebody who is very interesting, who is knowledgeable, who has experience in the motorcycling, and who can actually talk biking. So today we have somebody who is very interesting. Why? Because of this. Don't tell me nobody is there who doesn't know about it. Absolutely, everyone knows about this. This is a bike that actually carries a legacy of more than 100 years. Actually, this company started in 1911, but it came to India very recently. And today we have somebody who has brought it to India. I'll just quickly welcome the gentleman. The Here I have Vikas. Hello, welcome, Vikas. Thank you so much for being here with us. So Vikas is basically heading the Benelli India. So I will stop doing the talking. I will just go to Vikas and I will ask him to do the honors. Why don't you just tell everyone something more about you, something more about Benelli?
Sure. Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for having me on the show. It's really nice to be connecting with people, especially during the lockdown. Uh, just something about myself. Uh, I'm part of Mahavir Group. Mahavir's been in the automotive industry for well over 30 years and more recently into automotive retail. I'm a managing director here and I directly take care of Benelli operations. Personally, about myself, I've done my MBA from Warwick University, and I have a 2-year-old daughter who I'm spending a lot of time with recently. And like I mentioned, I've been taking care of Benelli operations for the last 2 years now.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So I think a lot of people would be having this question in their mind that why? Why did you choose to go with Benelli as a brand?
I think you partly answered some of that question in your opening. Benelli is a brand originating out of Pesaro, Italy, over 100 years of history, has racing lineage over there. This is not something a lot of brands out there can boast about, to be honest. Of recently, they've been spending a lot of money in R&D. They've been revamping the product portfolio. They're available in about 90 countries. And I think what's unique about them is that they are actually going country to country to develop products that are suitable for that particular country instead of just selling the same product line everywhere. And it's not very often you get an opportunity to work with a brand with so much history. And it was an easy decision to work with Benelli in India.
That's great. That's great. So let me just bring myself here. Yes. So would you, because see, Benelli is something which definitely has brought or maybe pulsated a lot of hearts in India in the recent past, because definitely of the sound that we all love, we all enjoy. So it seems that you also have that passion towards bikes and motorcycles or something. So would you call yourself a passionate motorist? Or
No,
maybe if you can just tell us more about your bikes and passion towards cars or something, whatever you actually enjoy.
so I think motoring in terms of both motorcycles and cars has been a large part of my life. Right from the beginning. I mentioned that we've been in the business for 30 years, but even before that, I've grown up seeing my dad. He used to be a professional rally racer, and I had a chance to see him race quite often. So that enthusiasm was always there. When I was young, I used to do a lot of go-karting myself, although never really took that passion into anything professional at that point. So it's always been around me. It's been a large part of my life. While I was growing up, I remember my dad used to have an RX 100, so I have a lot of memories of that particular bike. You mentioned the TNTR. That's been a personal favorite for a very long time. Uh, in the recent portfolio, I think the Leoncino 500 would probably be my favorite bike at the point. It's very elegant. I like the design. It's got so much history rolled into it. it's just the complete package for me right now. Uh, in terms of cars, I'm a huge fan of cars as well. I drive a C63 AMG. I was lucky to get one of the last few manufactured naturally aspirated engines. That's a car I like to take out once in a while.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So you did talk about your love towards bikes and cars. So I have one question. Which is your most desired bike?
Ooh, that's a difficult one.
That's a difficult question.
I mean, ever since we've gotten into this business directly, I think I've
Yeah.
had the opportunity to reach out to a lot of different brands and different motorcycles, which was otherwise difficult. But I think when it comes to motoring, something I would still like to do is, instead of going with something in the current crop, I would go back to take a classic, something like an RX 100, and
Wow.
maybe work on a motorcycle like that and take it out for a spin, because I think that's where motoring really took birth. And I think the previous generation, or I would say the people who set the entire motoring industry, that I think that was how it all got built on. And today we have so many brands that didn't exist back then. So
Absolutely right.
I think going back to basics would again be something that will always interest me.
Lovely. So actually, talking about classics, I have one photo of a very unique motorcycle that actually came out from the stables of Benelli. So I would want you to say some few words about it.
Sure.
We actually got our hands on this beautiful machine during one of our campaigns that was a 0 to 100 motorcycles, wherein we went around India to find out 100 unique motorcycles, and this was one of them,
Right.
Tornado.
So I mean, the Tornado, the TNT, like I mentioned, this range has been one of my personal favorites for a long time. It was the crown, the crown jewel for Benelli for a very long time. A lot of racing has happened on this bike globally as well. It's an out and out track bike. I think anyone who's ridden this bike still has fond memories of the bike, and I know a lot of people who still personally own this bike and swear by it. Um Benelli since then has gone into a lot of lower CC bikes, as you see in the portfolio today. But I can't wait
Right.
for the time while when I bring back one of the more powerful higher CC bikes that fall in line with Benelli's heritage of racing, and I think the Tornado is definitely one such bike.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So actually, since you mentioned that Leoncino will be one of your recent likings towards the bikes, on that somebody has asked this question about Imperiale. So Imperiale, the person wants to know. This question is asked by Ganesh. He said, any plans of for manufacturing Imperiale in India to bring the cost down?
So, okay, so getting to manufacturing of any product is a multi-step process.
Right.
And, I'm happy to share that have already started that process. And we started with localization sometime last year. We have already localized various critical parts of the bike, which we are now buying from Indian suppliers. Going forward, even in the BS6 format, we will be looking to increase the content of localization that we will do, which means that a large part of the bike will now be sourced from Indian manufacturers. And once we hit critical mass, we are exploring the idea of engine manufacturing in India and things like that. So the long term goal is definitely to fully manufacture the bike to India. But I think there are various milestones that we need to hit as a company before we can fully get there.
Right. That's really informative because I think a lot of people who wanted to know about this or who might be having these kind of thoughts that why not? Why not in India? So they might have got this answer that it's not why not, it's about when and how long it might take. So yes, because obviously everybody wants things to be homegrown so that they are cheaper and the services gets better and a lot of things gets better once they are made in India, or maybe they are made in your own home ground. So speaking of that, I think since we are talking about market, the market is also very hot about the electric vehicles. So, what do you have to say about it? Like, what are your thoughts for the electric vehicle market?
I think as an industry, we have been speaking in recent past about electric and the move to electric, and I, to a large extent, agree that electric vehicles will play a very key role in the Indian automotive industry. It will be interesting to see the pace at which we take on electric. I think there are many schools of thought on that, and also in which sectors of the industry will it first penetrate before it spreads across. So we are keeping a very close eye on electric. We think there's a lot of scope over there, and there's a lot of consumer interest as well. Benelli as a brand globally already has a couple of electric vehicles in their portfolio that they are supplying to certain countries. However, those vehicles cannot be brought in its same format to India because the rules around electric are different in every country. We are monitoring the situation very closely, and when we feel that okay, the time is right and there is enough consumer demand for electric, I think we too will be completely open to participating in that space.
That's perfect. So, now, knowing that you are keeping a strong eye or close eye on this, one question that I would have here is that, is there any plans to bring or make electric vehicles in India soon by you, by your group?
I think making in India is something which has become very critical in today's date, especially with what is going on with respect to COVID. I think every country is looking to become more and more self-reliant in terms of their production and being able to supply. And we are also mindful of that. Like I said, even before this situation came about, we were already working on ensuring that we can try and work with as many Indian suppliers as possible, and this has only further fueled our belief that this is the right direction to move towards. We've even during this lockdown we've been speaking to multiple Indian suppliers on the way forward, and definitely the possibility of 100% one day being a make in India product is something we should not stop dreaming about. We are working towards it.
So that's really hopeful, and that's really enticing for all of us, because we all are anticipating to have some new vehicles, some new products coming in the market. And talking about the new products and new vehicles in the market, I think uh, you mentioned in the beginning as well that you have started to, or the company has started to focus more on the lower capacity vehicles. So, are there any plans to bring in more lower capacity bikes, or maybe like BX 250 or TNT 125, something like that?
So, like you rightly said, our current focus is in the 250cc to 600cc space. We believe that this is one of the fastest growing space in the Indian market, and where it is where maximum opportunity of growth lies. We will continue to bring in products in the 250 to 500 600cc space. You'll see more 250cc bikes coming in. Like you rightly pointed out, we also have bikes below the 250cc category, and they're not commuter bikes, they are super bikes in its own right. And we are completely open to the idea of bringing them, although it might not happen immediately. I think 2020, post the lockdown finishes, we will be focusing on replenishing our product portfolio again with the entire BS6 upgrades. And maybe in 2021, we will explore the idea of bringing in completely new models.
That's really great. So now, since we are talking about smaller capacity bikes, I have two photos to show you from our experience with Benelli in the past. From the same campaign, as I told you, like we went around India to find out some unique bikes, and fortunately, we've got two of them from Benelli itself. So
Okay.
they are here. So
Right.
here. So what do you? And here's the second photo of that in action. So what are the plans? Like, do you think like these kind of machines we can see soon in the market, and people will be riding them here?
Every time I see this bike, the first thought that comes to my mind is the little rocket, because
Yeah.
that is exactly what this bike is. It is extremely misleading in the way it looks. I know it looks like a small petite bike, but I think anybody who's ridden it, and I think you guys have, can vouch for how much punch is there in this bike, and it absolutely takes off, especially because it's so lightweight, so easy to maneuver, and there's just so much you can do with this bike. And honestly, I really think this is a bike that a lot of our customers will like, especially because it gives them so much freedom to explore themselves and what this bike can do. Uh, uh, it's definitely a bike we are have spoken about many times about bringing to India, but like I mentioned, I think the first priority right now will be to bring back the entire BS6 portfolio. But don't be surprised if you see this bike in India soon.
Wow. So I think that will be a very pleasant surprise, especially for the people who aspire to own a Benelli brand and who are maybe new to the motorcycling, or maybe those who are very young. So for them, it is like it could be a very good starting bike. And talking about that, I think Benelli is like has a very good spread all over India. So how many dealerships do we have in India?
So as we are speaking, we have about 28 active dealers across the country. In fact,
Mhm.
so when we started off about 1 year back, we started off with about 7 or 8 outlets across the country, and then we've
Right.
launched about 20 new outlets in the last 18 months. So we've been opening almost 1 to 2 outlets every other month, and we have about 14 outlets which are under various stages of completion. Obviously got halted because of the entire situation right now, but once things open up, these 14 facilities will be will work towards completion. We'll launch them soon, so that should take us up to about 42 outlets. I had earlier mentioned that we are targeting 100 outlets by the end of the financial year. We might fall a little short on that because we've lost 2 months of the year, but I'm still fairly confident we will have about 70 to 80 outlets across the country by the end of the financial year.
That's really great. So, especially the numbers are very hopeful and very exciting, because having almost 100 dealerships all around India, that means you will be covering almost all parts of India. At least not all, but a major chunk of India will be covered in that.
I
So,
mean, that's the idea, right? Because we have customers who love riding so much, and we know that and we want to give them the peace of mind that they can just take off from anywhere and ride
right.
off to anywhere, and you will not be too far away from a Bentley touch point. And we want to be able to give them that kind of a comfort factor. And almost on an every day basis, through LinkedIn, through Instagram, I get so many messages about, can we have an outlet in this city, can we have an outlet in that city. So it's very nice and heartwarming to see that we have customers in so many pockets of the country who want to be part of the Bentley family. And I think it's only fair that we need to have these outlets to have an active touch point with them.
I think that's really great. And speaking of that, like right now, the overall situation, not only in India but all around the globe, is little tight because of the pandemic. One question that I have here is that what are your plans post pandemic, to maybe just to manage the dealerships, and what are your plans to increase the number? You have already mentioned how. What are your plans to manage the existing dealerships?
Sure. So, I mean, there are various stakeholders that we have to manage during this pandemic and post. Dealerships is one that you spoke about. The employees are the other that we have to keep motivated. Our customers are also one of our most important stakeholders. With the dealerships, we have been in continuous communication. I've continuously been talking to my teams. My teams have been constantly talking to dealer partners and their staff, and we've been keeping the interaction going. It's tough times for everybody, the entire supply chain. So we're trying to make sure that we don't waste away this time. We're using it to rethink our strategy, recalibrate, adjust to what we think is going to be the new normal. We're bringing about changes to make sure that when the market does open up, how can we take advantage of it? We've been doing very regular training sessions for dealership staff, both on sales and after sales front, to make sure that they come back more knowledgeable post the lockdown than when they went into the lockdown. So various activities are going on. Dealers are also have been in touch with customers from time to time. Of course, we've not been able to ride during this period, but we've at least stayed in conversation with them so that we have an idea of what's going on based on customer feedback. We've also done many things like we've extended all our service related packages, whether it was warranty, extended warranty, AMC, and any other claims that customers might have. We've given them a complete extension on deadlines for the period of the lockdown, just to make sure that customers are not hard done by. So we've been taking various steps, and there's lots happening on the back end. Also, we're preparing from a hygiene perspective, both at the plant, also the dealerships. We have SOPs rolled out on what are the basic hygiene factors we need to keep under consideration to ensure that we are able to have safe and comfortable conversations with people who do come to our touch points across the country. So lot has been happening on the back end.
No, that's really great, because any company who's actually concerned about their, because dealerships are like the extended part of the family.
Of
So
course.
companies who are concerned about their extended parts, that is the company that should be there. So now one question that I have here is, somebody has asked this question. So before I ask that question, I would like to show you one photograph. Actually, yeah, I think this will actually already ask you the question that the person wants to know, and we actually also want to know that what are your plans about this. So this is our photo from the TK Championship, wherein we participated with the Benelli. But then this was a naked bike that we participated with. Now, what are the plans of Benelli of getting into the track racing, or maybe bringing in the machines which are track ready, or
So
maybe going ahead and participating in the championships itself as a team or something?
sure. So, like I had mentioned earlier, there is so much racing lineage, so much racing background to Benelli. And, unfortunately, over the last few years, Benelli has not been an active participant in the racing circuit. But the company is mindful of this, and there is a global strategy in place. I think I was in ICMA recently, I think last year, and we had the launch of the 800 cc's over there in the TRK and Leoncino format. So the company is first working towards coming out with new engines and new technologies on the higher cc segment. They want to establish some good products over there. And although I can't share too much at this point, what I know is that there is a plan in place to also become extremely active in the higher cc segment, then which will, and the next natural step after that will be to once again be active on a track front and a racing front. It's an extremely challenging place to be, and we want to make sure once we are there, uh, we are giving some serious pushing around to those who are there. So uh, I think we're on the way, but it's more of a global strategy, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Absolutely. No, that's really interesting to know about it. Now, when we talk about racing or maybe any kind of sport, especially in the motorcycling, it cannot be just on the track, it has to be on the off road as well. So, I'll show you some pictures from our experience earlier. So, this is yet another beautiful machine that
Right.
we got our hands on. So, any plans to come out with something like these?
Uh, Not immediately. Not immediately. Although I know some versions of these have been prototyped for some of the other Asian markets, where there is a lot of demand for this kind of riding. The immediate term future plans for India, like I said, for this year is primarily going to be BS6 introductions. 2021, we will explore the idea of bringing in existing products from the portfolio that have never been launched in India. So I think any more products will probably have to wait for a little while longer than that. But having said that, I won't be surprised to see a production model of this format in in the global portfolio soon, because I know there's a lot of work happening in some of the Asian countries.
That's really great because when we talk about motorcycles, a lot of things come in our mind, and especially in India, when we talk about the Indian motorcycling scene, one thing that really comes in our mind is long distance touring. So we have had a good share of touring with Benelli, and recently we are really glad that Benelli has decided to come out with this beautiful machine, which has actually helped a lot of tourers uh, to fulfill their dreams of maybe adventure touring. So this was the picture that we took in Australia. This is from the same ride. So just maybe out of curiosity, I would like to hear from you. Uh, how has been the response from the market for the bikes like these, which are like more of the adventure tourer?
So, TRK is personally a very important bike for me and for Benelli in India. When we relaunched Benelli, this was actually the first new bike that we had brought to India. In fact, the TRK came to India almost an year and a half, 2 years later than it was introduced globally for various reasons. And I'm sure a lot of our viewers know that TRK has been one of Benelli's most successful bikes on a global platform. I think it's a very well positioned bike. It's the cost of ownership is not too high. Plus, it gives people a great opportunity, like you mentioned, for people who want to get into some kind of adventure touring. It's not a very difficult bike to handle. It's easy for someone who's never done adventure touring in the past as well. So it sits very well for someone who's looking to make the move into a higher CC or into adventure touring as a segment. In terms of sales, the bike has been doing pretty well every month. We have between the TRK-X and the 502, we have a 60-40 split. 60% of all sales go to X, 40% go to the 502 version. We've been seeing good numbers all over the country. We're seeing steady numbers all over the country, which is a good sign. Just before the lockdown, we had done one TRK ride in Pune with a bunch of our customers. I think we had 20-30 customers who participated, and it was a real fun ride. People got an opportunity to really understand what their bike is capable of, and also understand what role they play in handling the machine, and how they control the machine and what it should be doing. And it was a really fun experience. We are hoping to do a lot more of these once the lockdown ends. And I think the TRK is one bike that will continue to grab the imagination of people. Yeah.
So that's great. So, talking about TRK now, since we are talking about TRK, somebody has asked this question. So, what are the plans for TRK 800 on the way in India?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we've had the launch of both the 800, the Leoncino, and the TRK in ICMA last year. Honestly, we were hoping by now we would have finished the reintroduction of our BS6 portfolio, and maybe by the festival Diwali or something, we could consider bringing in new bikes. But obviously, that plan is out of the window. So I think once lockdown opens, our primary focus will still be to finish reintroducing our BS6 portfolio, and the 800 is something we are definitely going to consider bringing post that.
That's really great. So, I actually would like to read a message from here, which I think will make you happier. So, somebody has written this. I want to thank you on behalf of Benelli Imperiale Moto Club group of 300 plus Benelli Imperiale owners for bringing such a masterpiece. It is sheer riding pleasure. So, I think this is something really remarkable comment for you, compliment rather. So,
I,
it was written
I'm
by
happy
Ganesh.
to
Thank you, Ganesh, I think.
I'm happy
Yeah,
to hear
so
that. And,
talking about,
and Ganesh, sorry, yeah.
yeah, please. You were saying something.
Yeah, so Ganesh, I'm really happy to hear that. And if you could take a message back to all the club members, please tell them that, guys, this is just the start. We have a lot of plans for Imperiale as well. We're going to come out with dedicated riding calendars. We have a riding team on board. We have planned day rides, 3 night rides, 7 night rides. Trust me, this lockdown has given us a lot of time. We've done a lot of planning. We're all set. We're waiting for things to open up. There are a lot more exciting things coming your way. We have completely refreshed accessories and merchandise line that will also get rolled out across all our outlets. So I think there's a lot more for customers to look forward to, and I personally am looking forward to having conversations with a lot of you and hearing your feedback and wanting to know what more you guys would like from us.
That's really great that we are working so much towards the community, building up the community. So, talking about the community, XBHP is always known for being a community all around India, and we are like hardcore passionate bikers. So, we have had our own share of pleasure riding Benellis all around India. I'll quickly show you some pictures of one of our ride that we did, especially to thank all the bikers all around India. And this is one of the pics from there. So the ride was the thank you ride, wherein we took the variety of Benelli bikes over there. So I think the complete range was there during that time. What all machines were there, we used them, and some more pics here from the ride. So it was a great experience, and rather post this, we even kept one of the 899 with us, and this is the treatment that we have done to the bike. I hope you like it, what we have done, but we have really enjoyed it.
It's amazing.
It was it was a dedication to Vele, Valentino Rossi. So that's why the project
Right,
was
absolutely.
known as Vele Forza. So that was an interesting project that we did, and the machine was really awesome. It was what like it was more like raw power that I personally used to enjoy much, because everybody has their own taste likings. So for me, that bike served a great amount of raw power. So that was a great experience. I am actually getting a lot of questions here and a lot of comments. I may not be able to ask all these questions, but I'm telling all the people who are watching live right now or who are asking these questions, please bear with me. I will ask as many as questions possible that I can, but please bear with me. In the meantime, I have a question to
Sure.
Vikas, because besides Benelli, because Mavi Group has brought Benelli in India, do we have plans to bring any other prestige brands to India under your group?
Uh, Honestly, at the moment, Benelli in India is quite young. We are less than 2 years old in terms of our re-entry into the country, and we have such a long road ahead of us. We have such ambitious growth plans in terms of products, in terms of outlets, in terms of the riding community, in terms of creating the entire ecosystem. So as of now, all my efforts and all the team's effort is in establishing brand Benelli and ensuring that we can bring it to a point where the entire ecosystem is going to be proud of being a part of it. So no immediate plans to bring on other brands or get distracted by it, but of course, we always keep an eye out for opportunity, and if we feel that there is something that is going to complement or add to the ecosystem and to all our stakeholders, we'll definitely be open to it. But as of now, all the focus is on Benelli.
No, that's really great. But we are hopeful that we will get to see a lot of interesting machines coming from your stable. Now, with that, since you are in this industry, and I see you are a passionate biker as well, because the photo that I have used of you is a cutout that I made from a Ladakh trip, I think, right? So you rode to.
So we had, before we brought the Imperiale to India, the bike had been ready for a while, but we were very clear that we are not going to launch a bike that we ourselves are not proud of, and we wanted to reduce the number of, or we wanted to make the bike as perfect as we possibly could. Obviously, we're trying to improve the bike even now on an everyday basis, so there's no perfection, but we didn't want to leave anything to chance, and we really put our bike through a lot of testing. We acid tested it. Ladakh was one of these tests that I had accompanied on. I think we were gone for almost 2 weeks, and we drove all over the place. And honestly, when we went there, at first we were a little worried about the bikes. Will they be able to manage it? We had all kinds of backups, etc., etc. But after getting there, I realized the bikes didn't need any help. It was us who needed most of the help. And I think I underestimated Ladakh, and I went slightly underprepared. So I think my body took a little time to get used to the things. But the bikes were fantastic. I mean, it was as though it was built for that kind of a terrain, that kind of a place. Everywhere we drove to, it caught the imagination of people. People stopped. They were asking us questions. They wanted to do a test ride. They wanted to know more. Obviously, we were trying to keep things under wraps, so we couldn't give out too many details except for when we were doing the photo shoots. But that trip clearly showcased to us that yes, this product is going to get well accepted, and even if our customers push this product to the edge, it can take a lot more than it looks like it can. So that was really a very interesting and a useful 2 weeks for us there.
That's great. So actually, somebody who actually rides the motorcycles can actually tell more about how the bike is. So talking about that, since you are in the industry as well and you are a biker yourself as well, what do you think is the scene of the motorcycling culture or the motorcycling market in India at the current scenario?
I mean, if the current scenario is one of COVID, and what most people are talking about, what is going to be happening to
Yeah,
the
no,
motor.
absolutely. Once the COVID is over,
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, questions have been asked on motorcycling industry itself. What's going to be happening post this period, right? So
yeah,
I think that different parts of the industry will take different speeds and different timelines of recovery. But I think for the space that we are in, which is lifestyle motoring, I think the case is slightly different. People don't necessarily get into the space just to get from point A to point B. I think they're looking for a completely different experience. Of course, you
yeah.
can get from point A to point B, but it is more about the ecosystem. It's more about being part of a brand. It's more about being part of a community and things like that. Uh, at a macro level, not a lot has changed for India. We still have a very young population. We have a population that is increasingly having better levels of income every year. Standards of living are continuously going up. The biking community is growing in multiples every year. More and more people are taking it on as a hobby, as a passion, as something to get away from reality, to just maybe have an extension on their social circle, explore new places. People are riding on their own. And we have so many brands coming in, so many products coming in. So I see the space continuously expanding over the next few years. We are extremely positive on the space, and we think that lifestyle motoring is only going to keep maturing in India.
That's really great because when we talk about motorcycling, it's not just point A to point B. It is now turning out to be more like a lifestyle.
Yeah,
So it's, yeah, people are
absolutely.
investing in their lifestyles instead of just a commutation mode of commuting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
with that, a lot of people have asked one question. So I will like to maybe compile all of it and ask one. So this is about the service backup that we have. So the question that we have is like, what are your plans of maybe uh, training the service staff little more better? I think you must be already investing a lot of time and efforts in doing so. So what are the efforts and move towards a better service support?
I think that's a great question. As we are looking to rapidly increase our footprint across the country, and we're talking about increasing our product portfolio at the same time, that brings up the challenge about the after sales service for such a for an increasing portfolio and for a lot of new manpower coming on board. We, like I said, we've been using this lockdown extensively to train our manpower, both from a sales and after sales perspective. Also this lockdown has taught that you don't really need to be traveling all over the place to have meetings and to have discussions. We've been using platforms such as this, including Zoom, and we've realized the power of these tools. And we are creating capsules, we are creating video formats, we are creating training content that can be delivered online. So I can have somebody sitting in some part of the northeast, and I can be training them from somewhere in the north or south without having to physically going there. Even if a new technician comes on board, we will be doing online training. We've had certification courses that we've created over this time. We've had self-learning video content that we have created that people can go through in case of doubts. We've also set up something called as a product helpline, which means we have a couple of master engineers on our end, and if anybody needs any help, they can get in touch with this product helpline number, and we will be able to guide them on a technical front. We're also creating SOPs and manuals for our workshop. So I mean, I can go on and on. There's so much going on, and honestly, we are using this lockdown to our advantage to prepare all the basics to help us with the scale up. And we are committed to make sure that we are able to give the service backup that our customers should be getting once they own a Benelli. Also, from a service products point of view, we were one of the first people out there on the 500cc segment to give you a 5 years unlimited kilometer warranty. We give you a 3 years unlimited kilometer warranty on the 300cc's, including the Imperiale.
Right.
On the Imperiale, we give you 2 years of free service. We give you a third year AMC option. We just recently launched a pick and drop facility for people who don't have the time, or now post COVID don't want to visit a workshop but want to get service. So we're continuously bringing out service products, and we are continuously benchmarking ourselves against the market. And honestly, we've been receiving a lot of very positive feedback from customers on what they would like to see, and we're trying to see if we can make it happen for them.
Right. So, speaking of the doorstep servicing that you mentioned, so somebody has asked this question. So, do you have any plans, or can this be a suggestion to implement of having the doorstep deliveries of the new bikes that people are buying? Because I think some of the car companies are doing so. So, once people book their bikes, can they get the delivery at their doorsteps?
Yeah, so I mean, that is definitely one of the trends that is quickly emerging in the auto space. Before the entire COVID scenario, we had tested the bookings option where you could book for your bike online, and we saw that a lot of people actually preferred the format of online booking before going ahead with their purchase. We are currently working on a website that will allow a consumer to go right from step one all the way till the last step, that is selecting your bike, your color, your finance, your insurance, your accessories, your service packages, everything online. It will be extremely transparent. You will know your options, you will know how pricing works. So you will have all these details even before you go to the dealership, and we will leave it to the customer whether he would like to finish the entire transaction online, or would he like to maybe arrange for a test drive at his home. But definitely getting a delivery at your doorstep is something that can happen. We've also tied up with people in the market to do pick and drop facility for your bikes. That is something also you can opt in for when you buy your bike. So I think we are looking at ways to make the entire buying experience more lean and catered and delivered to home if required.
That's really great. So yeah, I think that answers a lot of questions of people who've been asking about it. Now, one more common question that I am reading over here is related to the launch and the prices of the new BS6 models. So when can people actually expect them to hit the market, and what kind of price hike, or not so much of hike, what will be there for the
Sure.
different categories of bikes?
So, I mean, like I said, the Imperiale will probably be the first bike that will come out in the BS6 format post the lockdown ending across the country. Honestly, we are waiting for the situation to get a little better. And once I think the lockdown ends, I think the first priority for people will be family, work, and to sort out all those hygiene factors for about a week or two. And then we will look to, introduce the bike and introduce the price. Just to give some insight on what goes into the pricing of a BS6 bike, there are two factors that are currently impacting the pricing. One is obviously the switch from BS4 to BS6, which does not have a lot of changes from an external point of view, but internally there's a lot of things that are changing and upgrading to make the bike compliant to BS6 norms. So that has a little impact on pricing. Second, since a lot of the bikes that we sell are still imported from outside of India, the Indian currency has taken a bit of a beating. There, it's depreciated by about 7 to 8% against the dollar in the last 3 months. Again, partly because of what's going on with COVID and the global economy, but we are hoping that this will start stabilizing soon. So these are the two things that impact BS6 pricing. And I think closer to when the lockdown ends, we will be able to assess how much of this we need to build into the price.
That's really great. So, with that, let me just bring myself here. So, yeah. So with that, just want to know what kind of measures have been taken to tackle the issues related to service post lockdown? Because what we've been doing throughout this time, we know, but what kind of measures have been taken for post lockdown, especially since people can't get out for servicing like their bikes, which I believe you mentioned that you may start something like doorstep delivery or something like that, or doorstep servicing. So, will there be support for maybe if somebody really doesn't want to have the servicing, but they just want the parts to be delivered? So, those kind of services will also be delivered.
So as of now, we don't recommend a DIY kind of a system for a lot of our customers.
Hmm.
Although if a customer insists on it, obviously at the end of the day, they're the customer, and we will help them out with it. Spare parts supply directly to customer is an option, but for most cases, for bikes which are under warranty, definitely we don't recommend it, because then that will void warranty terms, and we give really long warranty. We give you 3 years and 5 years of warranty. So my recommendation over there is, unless there is a specific reason for it, don't let your warranty go void. We negotiated very hard to get this warranty for all our customers. uh, and to make things easier for you, like I said, we've done two things. One, we've already tied up with people to do a pick and drop facility, which means you don't need to leave your house. Your bike can get picked up, serviced, and dropped back to your place. uh, and if you wish to physically come into the workshop or the showroom, we are rolling out SOPs to ensure that things like personal hygiene, social distancing, proper sanitization, all these things are being taken care at our end at dealerships, to ensure that we provide a safe environment to all our customers.
That's really great, and that's really thoughtful for the customers itself. Now, uh, since there are so many questions, I just cannot ask all these questions to you. Otherwise, your entire day will go here on the on the video itself. So, I will maybe I just want to tell all the audience over here that I may not be asking all the questions here. I may be going ahead and compiling these thoughts and maybe sharing with Vikas to maybe just go through them and just. Let us know what is his thoughts, and maybe we can go ahead and post it later. But then with that, one last thing that I would want to know is I think everybody would else would want to know, what are your thoughts about the riding or motorcycling as a culture? I'm not talking about the culture that we just discussed as lifestyle, but as a biker, what do you think, and what are your valuable suggestions to the bikers out there to have a better and safe riding experiences?
So until a couple of years back, I know a lot of people who did not think very highly of biking or the biking community, because there was this general feeling that, oh, bikers are unsafe and they're making a lot of noise, and oh, it's dangerous, they're going to have an accident. And you know there have been small isolated incidents, definitely, which has caused this opinion. But in large, I believe that today a lot of the biking community across India is fairly responsible, And I think the responsibility continues to lie with all of us as an ecosystem to ensure that, we all do biking and we're part of these groups because there is something that we get out of it that we cannot put, measure in financial terms. It's a level of personal satisfaction, friendship, freedom, so many words that are linked to it. And with all of this comes a lot of responsibility, not just in the sense of us riding safely, but also ensuring that whoever we are riding with is also doing it in a safe manner. From the very beginning we have been uh, very vocal about this with all our stakeholders, all our dealers. We are pretty strict about people that when you come in for a test ride, helmets compulsory, jeans compulsory, shoes compulsory. Even if the customer has just walked in casually and it does not have them, all our dealerships have this in spare to ensure that no test drive happens without the safety features, license, things like that. Every time we go for a ride, we make sure that all the riding signals are being explained to everybody. We have at least one or two professional riders on board who have ridden long distances and can guide those who are maybe riding for the first time. On our overnight rides, we always have ambulances and things like that. Of course, we do this as a company. It is our moral responsibility to do that. But my request to all riders, irrespective of what your choice of ride is, we are all part of one community, and it is our uh, responsibility to make sure that we all ride safely. And even when you see someone who is probably not doing something which is safe, we should point them out. And that is the only way we are going to continue growing in organic fashion. And people will maybe not have a negative connotation towards us as a community.
That's great. That's great. That's actually very valuable input and suggestions for the bikers, because one thing is for sure that all the bikers need to be safe, and that is the kind of a message that everyone should convey to all the other people, so that not only that people are more safe, the bikers are more safe, and people around them are more safe, but the perception of a biker also changes in the minds of the community and the society, that okay, bikers are not just, or biking is not an unsafe thing, it is more like a lifestyle and can be done by anyone if it is done in a safe manner. So with that, I think there are a lot of questions that are coming in. So one, I think people really like the brand. So a lot of people are asking about having dealerships open in their cities. So I think you will be answering them soon. So I, a lot of people have asked Odisha, Bhubaneswar. I've got some questions. Kerala, I've got some remarks over here. So yeah, a lot of people have been asking that they want Benelli showrooms over there.
So it's really interesting. Like I mentioned, we have 14 facilities in various stages of completion which are coming up. And even during this lockdown, we have had so many people who have gotten in touch with us about potentially partnering with us to be part of the Benelli family with a facility and a dealership.
Right.
And we always have to have this fine balance between growing quickly and having the right partner on our system. Because at the end of the day, if we choose to make someone as part of the Bentley family, then it's almost like a marriage, right? And you don't want to pick the wrong spouse, because end of the day they are the ones who are taking care of my customers, and I have to make sure that I trust that person completely. So trust me, guys, I think a lot more about how quickly can I be in Orissa, how quickly can I be in so many other places, because I know there are customers out there. I know there are Benelli bikers out there. I know there are communities out there that we would love to be an integral part of. If there's any listener out there who think they could be a good Benelli dealer, please reach out to me through any of my social handles, and we'll be happy to have a conversation. We're always exploring new partner opportunities, but of course finding the right partner is the most important thing for us.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So I think that is very good, and some of the people have also asked this question, and I think that's my personal question would be as well. That are there any plans for the bigger capacity bikes to come in? That like 600 is already there, but more than 600. So like earlier we used to have 899 and other models. So, do we
Right.
have any plans for that?
Right. So, I mean, definitely there is an intention to get back into the higher CC segment as well. When we were forced to discontinue the 8, 9, and 1130 for other reasons, we always at that time I also wondered whether we'll go back into this space. But I can say that the company has a clear intention to want to re-enter that space. With the launch of the 800s in both Leoncino and TRK, they've clearly showcased that they're already beginning to do that. I know that they are looking to even they're also considering bigger displacements, especially in the existing families, which is the TRK, Leoncino, and the Naked. So I think it's going to definitely be there on a global platform. Although I don't think it's going to happen immediately. I don't think you'll see it within the next 12 months or so. But I, I hope we can see them soon.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. So now, since you have also told that people can reach out to you, a lot of people are asking what is your contact. How can they actually contact you?
I'm on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I handle all my pages. You can reach out to me. I very often reply to people whenever I can directly as well. If not, at least I'll try and redirect you to the correct person. Like I said, we are open to advice. We're open to feedback. We're open to criticism. We're open to applications. Guys, reach out to us. We want
So
to hear from you.
I've actually tagged you in the Facebook and Instagram, so people can actually go ahead and see your handles over there. They can
Great.
actually reach out to you.
Great.
So yeah, I think this is really great, and there are a lot of bikes spreading all over India, especially from the Benelli. So one thing that has actually made a lot of people really glad was the sound that Benelli produces. Is like it's a music for a lot of people. Actually, somebody has asked this question, although I think that was from the funny side, because somebody has asked, "Is your electric bikes going to have the same sound?"
I've heard of some electric manufacturing OEMs who have put in a sound element in their bikes as well, and I found that quite interesting. I mean, it's not really a Benelli if it doesn't sound like a Benelli, right? So I think that is something we will have to consider as well when we go electric.
Absolutely, absolutely right. So I think that's all. I think I can actually continue to ask a lot of questions, but we have a paucity of time in hand. So we will take a pause here, and thank you so much, Vikas. Is there any last few words that you would like to say to the people before we bid an adios to you?
Yes, yeah, just I really want to thank everybody, all the people who have bought Benellis, all the customers, also all the people who might not have bought Benelli but are fans of Benelli, or even follow Benelli. All of you have really contributed to what the brand is today. The last 1.5 years has been a bit of a comeback for Benelli in India, and I'm really, it could not have happened without all the support that we have received, all the unconditional love that we have received. So I request you to please keep this going, keep pushing us, keep demanding more from us. We will keep trying to do the best we can. I look forward to interacting with a lot of you. A lot of you already directly message me every now and then, and we see what we can do. So I look forward to that, and I'm hoping, and I assure you that we will also physically be closer to a lot of you over the next 12 months. And ride safe, guys.
Thank you so much, Vikas. Thank you so much for your time today. And with that, we would like to thank you and take your bye bye here. And with that, thank you. I'll just go ahead and talk to the audience now. And thank you. I'll just put you on hold here.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And so, guys, thank you so much for being online. And that was Vikas from Benelli. He's the managing director of Benelli India. Thank you so much for being so interactive, asking so many questions. And I'm sorry I could not ask all the questions here because we have a paucity of time in hand. I can take this session to a certain limit. But believe me, all these questions are very informative and very genuine. I have asked almost all of them, but those which are left, I will try and compile them and then send it to Vikas so that we can get a response later on. But till then, we will come back to you with the next session soon. We are going to go live tomorrow once again with somebody very interesting, and you will get the notification of who that is in some time. Till then, ride safe. No, don't ride safe. It's a lockdown, so don't ride. Stay at home, stay safe. Once the lockdown is over, we will go all out for the riding, and then we will ride safe. This is XBHP Talks, and we bring in every time somebody is interesting. Stay tuned for who's going to be next. Till then, bye bye.